What's going on, guys? This is Nick from Supermoon Studios. Today we're going to be taking a look at and reviewing the Dehancer Pro Film Emulation plugin for Davinci Resolve and Adobe Photoshop. Now, in just a second, we're going to head into the editing room and really dive into this program and see what it can do to your image with some of the footage that we shot over the past year. But first, a little bit of history about where film actually came from and where film stock was actually developed. Film was originally created in the 19th century, around 1890 or so, when the first actual moving cameras came around. Originally, they did all their tests on what is actually closer to just a parchment roll that they would kind of burn their images into. So that proved to be too difficult to actually get playback out of their image for. So eventually, they developed the celluloid film strip as we know it back in 1889, actually here in America. So Eastman Kodak actually became the first and only distributor of celluloid film around that time period, and it is still the company that we actually know today that sells and creates film for analog photography and videography. Now, a film strip, as we know, is created from a celluloid or plastic type film strip on one side, and on the other side originally was a gelatin-like material with silver halide crystals that would help pick up contrast and light during the filmmaking process. Now, these silver halide crystals would then be inverted in the editing room when it was being developed to create this contrast and this black exposure that you actually get when you're watching black and white film from originally way back in the day from the 19th century. So using these different halide crystals in different shapes and sizes is how we actually get that moving film grain that you see in old cinematography or photographs. That's where that grain actually comes from. Now, there's many different things that the halide crystals actually do to your image. They create blooming effects, they can create distortion on some lighting, and they create that old, dreamy Hollywood look feel that you get off of the celluloid film that so many filmmakers now in the present day are still chasing after in the analog film industry. Now, black and white film contained one layer of these halide crystals, and that's where we would get the contrast between the black and the whites and everything in between on the film strip. Color film, when it was later developed, contained 3 or more layers of these halide crystals to capture all of those different colors and all the different layers of contrast that you would get in a colored image once it was post-processed in the editing room. Now, this look and this film look has been so ingrained in our society that we recognize it even if we don't notice it when we're watching a film. This extra bit of grain on screen, this lower frame rate, perhaps an aspect ratio to cut off the top and the bottom of the image, that is what we've become accustomed to as moviegoers, and those are really the 3 main elements of the cinematic look that so many filmmakers are going for today. Now, this program in particular, the Dehancer Pro Film Emulation plugin for Davinci Resolve or Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom, captures all of these elements from original film grain and gives you a lot of freedom in the editing room when you get into your image, when you start post-processing and coloring what you've actually shot. There's a ton of features in this program that really fine-tune the look you're going for with actual film grain overlays from real film stock that really help you lock down the exact cinematic look and feel that you're looking for in your image.
Alright guys, so here we are in the studio. We're going to get started real quick. First off, I'm going to show you exactly where you can get this program. It's available on their website, dehancer.com. And if you look, there are plenty of reviews showing off how great this program is and what you can actually do with it. And if you go down a little bit further, it tells you exactly what you get in this program. You get dozens of film profiles, you get a realistic film grain simulation, you get some bloom effects, some halation effects, and just a ton of other features. It goes through exactly how they scanned their analog film prints into the digital space so that we can use them in programs like Davinci Resolve and Photoshop and Lightroom. And as you can see here, it just gives you a ton of samples of what you're going to be getting in this pack. So if we go up a little bit, we can click on the free trial. You can download a free trial at any time, or if you want to buy the program, you can click in the top right hand corner and use the discount code SMS10 at checkout to get 10% off of Dehancer Pro. Now with that, we're going to switch over to Davinci Resolve and get started on some of these grades. So here we just have some footage from some old reviews. I just did a basic grade before adding the actual effect onto it. So if we go all the way back to the base image, this is what we were starting with. This is ungraded log footage. This was in one of our lens reviews from 2020. So I'm just going to show you guys exactly what I did here. I just did a quick balance grade, and then I added some contrast and detail, And then over the top of all of that, I added the Dehancer Pro plugin. And as you can see, it already has a much more filmic look to it. All the colors are popping much more vibrantly. There's a halation around all these light sources, the bloom in the background. It just turns this image into something completely different. So I'm going to show you exactly how we got this. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this clip again so we can work with it. Alright, so from that base grade, we're actually going to delete this node that has the Dehancer plugin on it. We're going to add a new one, a new corrector node, and we're just going to link that up real quick so that we have a blank node. And so if we go into our library under our effects tab, and you scroll all the way to the bottom after Dehancer is installed, you can grab the effect and pop it right on there. And as you can see, it already changes the image quite a bit just with that. So we're going to go through all of these controls real quick. Just to start, it sets it to a Rec 709 color space so that you can see what your image would actually look like. What's really cool about this input source is it has several pre-installed color spaces as well as a choose your camera feature. So for instance, this was shot on a Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro. So if we actually use the Pocket Camera 6K filter on it and pick one of the ISO formats, as you can see, it already adds quite a bit of color difference onto that, which actually makes up for a lot of the color that we are missing without a LUT on this right now. So that's something that you can always do for your input source if you're just looking for a quick grade. We're going to start back at Rec 709 here though, just so we can see the clearest image that we have possible. Alright, so right off the bat here in the input section, you have your temperature controller, which will push the image in cooler or warmer directions. You have your tint controller, which can push it in magenta or green. You have a defringer, which will help with chromatic aberration and a little bit of clearness in your image, and your radius marker, so you can just choose how much defringe you are getting on the image. And now moving on to our film profiles. As we said before, they have over 50 film profiles that they actually scanned in from real life film stock. I believe it's up to 63 or 64 that you actually get in the pack now. Everything from Kodak to ADOX to AGFA to Cinestill. You can really dive in deep here and pick exactly the image that you are looking for. And the coolest thing is they actually include some black and white film as well, and some chroma colored film, just for experimental purposes, so you can really just choose exactly what you want to do with your image no matter what. So from there, we're just going to set it back to the base Kodak. And as you can see, you can push and pull the exposure in any direction, so you can get underexposed or overexposed in your image. So you can really get exactly the exposure you're looking for with your film stock. And so moving further, we have our black point and our white point, which helps target exactly where your contrast is going to be and where your film stock is going to actually be brighter and darker. You can change the color mode in this as well to really fine tune exactly what you're looking for. You can then go down and choose your print quality. So as you can see here, there's Kodak glossy paper, which actually emulates what Kodak glossy film would look like once it's printed and once it's actually up on the projector, which is just really, really cool. You have some exposure sliders you can change. You have a total contrast slider you can change, and you have a color density slider as well, which really just helps either bolden your brightness or really strengthen the saturation in your image. If we move down a little bit further, we just have deeper control over our colors, yellow and blue again, magenta and green, and then of course cyan and red, so you can really just mix and match and do any kind of color combination you're looking for over your image without distorting anything and while preserving the resolution. And that's the biggest thing that I absolutely love about this program, is that you can do all of these crazy things to your image and it still stays as clean as it would otherwise, because it's a film emulation that doesn't change the quality of the image. It overlays and compacts into your actual grading so that what you're getting is nothing short of what you actually shot. So as you can see here, we can even just see how far we've come in this image from the start to the finish already. You can really just see how much more of a cinematic look we already have in it. And now moving on even further, we have the film grain effects, which helps you change the size and the actual amount of film grain that's on your screen. So you can go for these crazy, dirty, distorted looks if you'd like. You can actually change the resolution of your image. So if you wanted a much softer, much creamier image, you can actually change all of those effects here in the film grain slider. You can change how much film grain is in the shadows of your images. You can change how much film grain is in the midtones and the highlights of it. And you can change exactly where that color is coming from if you would like chroma film grain, if you would like more black and white film grain. And then at the bottom, you can actually pick whether or not you would like your film to be targeting the negative or the positive of your image, which just, of course, adds another level of control to everything that you are doing. It really just gives you so many options to just fine tune and find exactly what you're looking for in the image you're trying to create. And that's what's really, really cool about this film grain tab, is I don't think I've seen this in any other program that gives you this much customization over exactly what you're getting out of your film grain. So you know exactly what's in your image, and you know exactly what it's going to look like once you're out of the editing room. And just moving on from there, as we mentioned before, there is a halation effect that you can add onto all of your images. There's a source limiter that just changes the strength and what exactly is limited by what you are putting into your image. If we enable it right now, you can start to see it a little bit more. You can change the smoothness of it, you can change the local diffusion, you can change the global diffusion of the actual image, so you're either getting more halation over the entire image or just precisely more halation over what's actually being lit in your image. As you can see, the leaves are starting to glow a little bit, whereas if I put the global diffusion up, the rest of the image starts to glow even more. And as you can see there, that even adds, again, just this creamy, dreamlike film look to your images, and it's absolutely incredible what you can get out of this program. And so from there, you can amplify the actual look of it, you can decrease it, you can change the hue of what you're looking for, have it a little bit more brighter on the yellow side, have it more bold on the red side. You can add some blue composition into there as well, just to change the overall look and the overall impact of what you're getting out of this halation effect, which is really, really cool. You can add these soft glows behind your light source and really emulate what shooting on film is all about. As you can see, our image is getting pretty rough here. I'm going to turn the grain down a little bit. Maybe even turn this white point up as well, so that we can just see a little more. Alright, and then of course at the bottom of the halation effect, there's a mask mode, so it actually shows you precisely exactly where you are getting this effect and what light sources it is affecting. And as you can see, if we turn it up, you can see exactly what this effect is doing to your image. And that's just a really, really neat little feature. Alright, and then moving on to bloom, again, very, very similar to what you get out of halation. You get this feature targeting all the light sources in your image. You can change the source limiter, you can change where you're losing your details, how much diffusion is on the image, and you can really just go all out and get something that's really bold and really, really bright and saturated if you're looking for that. And as you can see here, my system is starting to lock up because of all these effects, but we already have this very dreamy look on our image. And with the combination of the halation and the bloom on it, you can really, really see exactly what these features are doing and how they're emulating real film stock and what real film stock does to an image. And so moving on from the bloom, there is a built-in vignette feature. This is really, really useful if you're putting vignettes on all of your images and you don't want to keep replicating the same effect over and over again. And then just moving on to the last two features, which are actually very specific and very unique to this program, is it gives you the option of putting on film breath and gate weave on your image. Now, film breath is actually the difference in contrast and composition between different frames of a film stock, because back then coloring wasn't a perfect science and you would have variations between different frames on your film strip. So that's where you kind of got that old flickery look to some of the colors. So as you can see, if we change a lot of the tonal contrast and a lot of the different effects on here, we get this flickery, different color contrast in each different frame, depending on how much we push and pull this feature, which again is very, very unique to this program. I haven't seen this in any other grain emulation program or any other editing program that I've used in the past, and that's just very, very, very cool. It just adds another layer of realism to this film emulation program that helps you get closer to attaining that perfect film look from all the way back in the day. And then gate weave, of course, if you enable that, it's the difference between the wobbling and the imperfect system that was running a film strip through a projector back in the day. If you change the translation periods between the frames, it will begin to wobble and flicker with both of these effects on, just like how original film would look coming out of a projector. So that's kind of a rundown of all those basic features. At the bottom here, you have some false colors, so you can see exactly what you're losing or gaining by using this program. You have a total output meter for your entire image. So as you can see, we can go from our original image all the way to what our fully graded image looked like. And so if we go somewhere in the middle, we really get this perfect looking cinematic feel with the creaminess of the bloom and the little bit of glow from the halation effect and that film grain. To me, I just think it looks awesome, and it really just it changes the feel of the entire image and the entire clip. And so moving further down, you can actually export all of these settings as a LUT so that you can reuse them on any clips that you have in Davinci Resolve, which I think is just a perfect idea. This film emulation program really markets itself as a total grading kit, which I was not expecting when I opened it up at first. I thought it would have some grain effects and some extra coloring effects and these extra bloom effects, but I was not expecting to be able to actually push and pull your entire image in any direction that you want to with these different coloring tools. So that for me makes this program incredibly worth it, because just in this one little plugin, you can sit down and color grade an entire image from start to finish just using the sliders and the details encompassed in this plugin. And that's just worth its value right there to me, because the amount of time that you spend pushing and pulling different elements of an image, it's just so time consuming in the editing room, and really to be able to skip some of those steps and kind of have some of them baked into this plugin is just a game changer for me. And so if we pop out of this image, we can pop over to our original image again and just kind of check out what a final product, final graded image would look like. And again, this was with a base grade on it as well. So this is kind of what the look we were going for with this image. It gives a very, very vintage feel to it. You get that extra magenta in the background, you get that blooming, the halation effect, all of it just comes together and creates this super dreamlike scene that for me, I just absolutely love, and I could not have achieved without this program. And so going back to the cinematic film look, if you are in Davinci Resolve, you can then go up to your timeline settings, go all the way down to output blanking, and you can add on a 235:1 aspect ratio filter onto that. And as you can see there, you get the cinematic bars on the top and the bottom, and that's really the film effect we are going for. It's that lower frame rate at 23.976 frames per second. It's this pushed film grain and extra creamy effects that you put on the image, and then of course this aspect ratio that really locks you into that wider look that original filmmakers got from using anamorphic lenses way back in the day. All right, and just moving on from there, I just wanted to show off again just a little bit more of what this program can do to your images. This is another graded version of that image with a special experimental chroma film stock on it. I just love how it changes all of these colors. It feels almost like a fantasy scene. It completely changes the feel and look of this image. And again, could not have been completed without this film emulation plugin. And this is, of course, from a real film stock that was actually scanned in by professionals and actually worked into this program. And again, I don't know how they do it, but it just looks incredible to me. And so if we move on, this again was from one of our review videos. I just love what these colors do to this image. As you look here, this was our original shot, ungraded. We just added a basic grade and a LUT to it, and this is kind of the result that we ended up with. And that's also what I really, really love about this program, that you can use Cineon Film Log, in which case you can control your colors by adding a LUT. You can push and pull your contrast in any direction that you want, and really you can just use a combination of these effects and the LUTs on your image to really get all of the colors that you are looking for and that exact perfect image that you are really going for and trying to emulate in this process. I love that you can use a combination of traditional base grading as well as using this program to kind of touch up some other features, or do a full grade if you want to. You don't actually have to stick to a traditional grading process when you use this program. You can jump into it and grade your footage from top to bottom just using these real film stocks and all of the controls that are provided in this plugin. And that to me is just a game changer and something that I really am looking forward to using in the future. So again, just to demonstrate, if we put that output blanking back on this image at 235:1, you can see what all of these images look like kind of in their cinematic state. And once again, if you want to pick up this program for 10% off, please use the discount code SMS10. and do not hesitate to pick it up. They're constantly adding new things. They're constantly updating and fine-tuning it, and there's really no better time to pick up this program and kind of get started on film grading with real film stock that comes from actual real film strips, which again just blows my mind that they can do that, and it's just amazing that they were able to actually put this together. Huge shout out to Dehancer. Again, as always, thank you so much for sending me over these review codes and letting us try out your product. We absolutely love it so far. We love what it can do to the image. We love all of the controls that are baked into the plugin itself, and we just can't wait to again get started on more productions while utilizing this new game-changing tool. So overall verdict of this program is it's very easy to use, it's very easy to install, it has so many features that are missing from so many other programs that you just really don't get just utilizing a base grade or utilizing a base editing software. I can't believe that they were able to fit so many things in one little package that you just open up and plug in. And as I've said before, I'm very impressed with the full grading options that are actually available in this pack. You can go from top to bottom just utilizing the real film stock, using your color saturation and your different contrast and exposure meters, and you can really get a full color graded image just from using this plugin inside of already another great, very powerful program. The only cons that I have with it are that the film resolution, size, and amounts don't actually give you precise measurements of what you're using. It's just a meter from 1 to 12, and the resolution meter is actually from 0 to 100. So I do wish that the size meter told us exactly what we were using, exactly the film stock that we were using, if it was 8mm, if it was 16mm, if it was 35. The resolution is less of a problem because it just tells you if it's 100% resolution or not. Other than that, those are the only cons I actually have with this program. It's fantastic otherwise. It's very heavy duty. It does weigh on your system a little bit, but you do get real filmic results that you can't really get, again, from any other stock program out there right now. Alright, and just so moving on, as I said before, they do have an Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom version out. It works in both programs the same way, but I just wanted to show you kind of a quick grade that you can do in Adobe Photoshop. This is a picture I took a few years ago. So if we drop the image into Photoshop, we can go up to the Filter tab and find Dehancer at the bottom, Dehancer Film. And as you can see, I really think this is great because it pops up with its own menu. You get all of these previews of these film stocks that overlay onto the image. And you don't lose any of the resolution value. You don't lose any of the color. It doesn't degrade the image at all. That to me is just makes this program so valuable because you get this warmth and this feel and this look from real old school film stock, and you're not losing the contrast or getting any distortion from a modern day great looking film camera. You can shoot with great equipment and then dirty it up a little bit and make it look crystal clear on screen, but also capture that feel of an old school cinematic production from all the way back in the 19th century if you wanted to. So again, all of the same controls are actually in this program. Makes it very, very simple to use. Again, I absolutely love it. Your temperature controller, your tint controller, you have your defringer, your defringe radius. As you go down, you have your black point, your white point again, which is just so great. You have this level of contrast and this level of actual control that you can really dial in and get anything you want out of these images. And as you can see here, you can pick your different print color. You can do linear all the way to the glossy paper again. So it actually looks like a photograph that would have been taken on film. You have your exposure meters, your contrast meters, your saturation, your color density, and you can really just push and pull these in any way that you want. You have your film grain, your size. Again, wish it showed me my metering in millimeters, but it doesn't even matter. I mean, just using your eyes and just using what you're looking for in your image, you can really get so many great results out of this program. You have your amount, your resolution again, some of your shadows and your mid-tone and highlight meters, and your chroma meter for your actual film grain itself, if you want it to be black and white or if you want it to be color. And that again, I've just never seen so many features and packed into one overlay program. It's just so great to use. And then of course, the name of the game in this program is this halation and this bloom effect that you can add onto an image, and it absolutely changes what you're looking at. You can change the smoothness and the local diffusion and the global diffusion, all of the same controls that you find in the full Dehancer Pro version for Davinci Resolve, and you can just change exactly what you're looking for. I'm gonna pull the resolution down a little bit, pull some of these sliders in a few different directions, pull the amplify, again, just all the same controls that you find in the actual program itself in this awesome little plugin that fits right into your Adobe programs as well. So you got your bloom effect again, can change it, amplify it all the way up so that it's unrecognizable, make it overexposed, make it underexposed. You can preserve your lighting in the image itself if you want to. Your saturation you can turn all the way down. It's just really great what you can do. And then of course at the bottom you have your vignette again, just if you want to add that little bit of darkness to the edges and border of your image. And so again, it's just really, really great what you can do with this program and with the images that you want. You have complete artistic freedom with the color grading and the color saturation that you are looking for. You have complete creative control with the film stock and the halation and the bloom effects. And I'm just very, very blown away and impressed by this program. Again, thank you so much to Dehancer for sending this over. Could not thank you enough for actually showing us what you guys have been doing over there. This is just such a great program to me, and it saves so much time from running all over the internet looking for several different programs, spending money out of pocket for something that does some of these features in several different other programs, where instead, again, this just compacts it all into one and do a great little plugin that's easy to install, it's easy to use, and it has great results. So with that, I think that's probably going to be about it for this video. We try to go as in-depth and comprehensive as possible with this review because we wanted to really show you how you can get this film look out of your images and how you can really change the look of all of your cinematography just with a few simple steps. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please share with your friends. Please tell us what you think of this program. Please tell us what you think of the images that we showed. If we can answer any questions to help you make your purchase easier. And please just stay tuned for more content on this channel. Supermoon Studios is going to be putting out regular videos once again, so please check back every Friday for that. And so again, if you are kind of on the fence about actually picking up something like this, they do have a free trial, so you can download it, play around with it, see what it does to your images, see if you actually want to go after that cinematic look. And if not, pick up the Adobe Photoshop version, which you can use in Photoshop and Lightroom. That will change the look and composition of all your images, create a more filmic quality. And again, I don't think there's another program out there that does it this well. And with that, I think that's it for us today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great day, guys.